me on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, where we have 1 million followers. You've seen the articles that I've been posting. You've seen the messages I've been posting, and you've been watching what's going on in the news as well. Well, September 26th, 2020, at the in the Rose Garden of the White House, there was a super spreader event that took place. That was last week Saturday, and that was to formally announce and welcome Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who is Donald Trump's nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court. And you saw the video, you saw the people who were there, Senator Mike Lee, you saw Kellyanne Conway, and a number of those people who were there at that event, not practicing social distancing, violating the recommendations from Donald Trump's own CDC, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Most importantly is prevention in the title. And a number of those people have developed coronavirus, including the one and only Donald John Trump, unindicted co-conspirator number one, Benedict Donald. He has developed coronavirus as well. So many people are saying we knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. We saw the presidential debate that took place this past week, Tuesday, which was the craziest presidential debate in history. You saw I did a 2.5-hour broadcast dealing with that presidential debate. Please excuse the cursing that I did in that. I was peed off to the highest of peaceivity. Okay, okay, because this is FCC regulated radio. We're on here. But I went through and broke down. We did a fact check, broke down Donald Trump's lies. So go watch that on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. You got 50,000 views. It's also on our YouTube channel. So tonight's show, we'll talk we'll give you some updates on what's going on. It's a fast breaking news story. You saw Donald Trump go for a ride. I mean, this fool has lost his mind. He's putting people's lives in jeopardy. He goes for a ride to wave at his adoring fans. Okay. He doesn't care how many people's lives he puts in jeopardy. He doesn't care if more people die. 210,000 people have died from coronavirus. 210,000 people died from coronavirus. You have about 7.4 million infections. And he does a stunt like this. Okay. And puts more people's lives in danger. So we're going to talk some about what's taking place. And what's interesting now, the Wall Street Journal broke this story. All right. And I got so much. I got about 50 tabs open here in Firefox. I got a ton of articles. We ain't going to be able to get through all this stuff. All right. But we're going to give you the highlights. Wall Street Journal broke this article Sunday, October 4th, that Donald Trump had already been diagnosed with coronavirus, but he was waiting for a second test. Okay. TheHill.com has this article. We posted it on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. So we're going to talk about that as well. So there's so much going on. The doctors, I'm watching MSNBC. The doctors on MSNBC are horrified. They're horrified at what they're watching. The carelessness from the super spreader event, September 26th. Then we see that I think it was that Wednesday. He goes to Bedminster, New Jersey for is either Wednesday or Thursday. Went to Bedminster. I think it was Wednesday, Bedminster, New Jersey, for a campaign for a fundraiser. Okay, and then we see that. Early Friday morning around 1 a.m., the news comes out that he and Melania Trump tested positive for coronavirus. That's after senior aide Hope Hicks tested positive for coronavirus. Okay, so there's so much more to this story, and we see that you know a lot of people are, even some of the doctors. The type of treatment that Donald Trump is getting, the steroids that he's been given, they're saying if you just have a mild case of coronavirus, you don't give them this type of treatment. So you even have the doctors suspecting that his state or the infection is worse than what Trump's doctors at Walter Reed Hospital, the doctors at Walter Reed Hospital, are telling us. All right, so the truth is going to come out. It's all going to come out. Okay, you can play these reindeer games if you want to. Okay, just like your taxes came out, just like your shakedown of Vladimir Zelensky, July 25th, 2019, the new president of Ukraine came out. It's all going to come out. All right. And if you saw the poll that came out this Sunday, Donald Trump has opened up a 14-point lead nationwide against Donald Trump. Joe Biden has opened up a 14-point lead against Donald Trump. All right. And this poll was taken after that debacle of a debate. Okay, so we're gonna deal with this here. We're here for a couple hours. We're going to continue after our 2 hours here. We'll continue on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. But it's so much going on. I mean, it's exhausting just trying to keep up with all of this. Okay, but TheHeal.com broke this story. Trump sought to keep COVID-19 diagnosis secret Thursday as he awaited second test result. Trump sought to keep COVID-19 diagnosis secret Thursday as he awaited second test result. Donald Trump hid results of his first positive COVID-19 test on Thursday while awaiting the results of a second test that would later also come back positive. And knew at the time of a Fox News interview that he had tested positive while discussing Hope Hicks' diagnosis. So, oh, what a tangle web we weave when first we practice to deceive. All this stuff has come back. Now, some people are saying this is karma. Some people, you've seen some of my Facebook posts. Some people are saying, look, this stuff on the debate stage this past Tuesday. Donald Trump actually mocked Joe Biden for wearing a mask. He said Joe Biden wears a mask all the time, even if he's 20 feet away from somebody. He wears a mask all the time. He wears the biggest mask I've ever seen. None of them. When you go research what happened at the debate in the audience, the people who were the guests of the Trump family, etc., most of them were not wearing masks. Okay. The people who were the guests of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, things like that, they were wearing masks. We see all these people around Trump popping up with coronavirus. We saw former Governor Chris Christie, governor of New Jersey. We saw Miss Alternative Facts herself, the Wicked Witch of the West Wing, Kellyanne Conway. She got coronavirus. All these people are popping up. We see Republican senators who are on the Senate Judiciary Committee. We see Senator Mike Lee, Republican of Utah. We see Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, coming down with coronavirus. Okay, so you have to put this in context about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes away. You have Moscow Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump who want to ram through a Supreme Court justice nomination, okay, with about 45 days before the November 3rd presidential election. So then at this super spreader event that took place Saturday, September 26th, and when you look at the pictures of it, Politico.com has an article about this. MSNBC, we've posted articles and things, and we posted a video from MSNBC. It shows you the people sitting in the Rose Garden, and a lot of the people in the first two rows, they got corona. They've come down with coronavirus. All right, and then we find out Judge Amy Coney Barrett this past summer had coronavirus. So all this took place at this, it is believed that many of these people were infected at this super spreader event. All right. And it's an event surrounding Judge Amy Coney Barrett and them trying to ram through this Supreme Court nominee to get her confirmed before the election, so that and Donald Trump is trying to steal enough votes. This is what this boils down to. He's trying to invalidate enough votes. He's trying to steal as much as he can, steal enough votes as he can for this to then be litigated in the U.S. Supreme Court, and he wants a 6-3 majority in the Supreme Court. So he wants to make sure he gets his nominee. He wants to make sure he gets his nominee on the Supreme Court because he doesn't want a 4-4 tie. All right. And then at this event where you're celebrating your nominee, all these people come down with coronavirus. All right. Hey, karma is something. I'm telling you. Now, at the very same time, the U.S. Senate has not come to an agreement with the U.S. House of Representatives on a coronavirus bill. We saw that Nancy Pelosi and Democrats in the House of Representatives, they passed the lower $2.2 trillion bill. Remember, we talked about this before. Democrats in the House of Representatives passed a $3.4 trillion HEROES Act back in May 2020. Back in May 2020. Okay. So back in May 2020, the Republicans in the U.S. Senate did not come to an agreement before July 31st. July 31st is when the $600 a week in additional unemployment insurance from the federal government expired. We know that Moscow Mitch McConnell let Republicans in the Senate go on a 1 month recess while this federal unemployment insurance was expiring. Okay. And you have people across the country who need this financial assistance. But what they did was they kept pushing through these unqualified federal judge nominations. They did that in the Senate, okay, controlled by Republicans. Now, instead of the main focus being on passing a coronavirus bill so we get aid to people who need it all across the country, get more aid for testing, get aid to restore the weekly federal unemployment insurance, instead of that being the main focus, they want to ram through this Supreme Court nomination. And look how it's blowing up in their face. All right, we're coming up on a break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation Future Radio. And everybody, follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Share this broadcast, okay? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. We're broadcasting on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP as well. Also, if you like this type of information, you could donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show, paypal.me /the AHN Show. That helps us to keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep doing what we do. All right, we're coming up on the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. Stand by. Got a quick commercial break. All this stuff blowing up. We got a busy show tonight. All right, let me try to call in through the Skype line. Just a second here. I'm running behind schedule. It's a busy day. There's so much going on. Hold on, stand by, everybody. I got to call in on the other line, Skype line. Stand by. All right, here we go. Stand by. We should be back in a minute here. Yeah, this is Michael Imhotep calling you on the Skype line. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm calling back on the Skype line. Okay. All right. All right, stand by, everybody. hell? You got to be kidding me. All right, let's see who we have here. Stand by, everybody. Some information I saved for tonight's show didn't save, so I got to try to find these clips. So we have Carmen Johnson. How you doing, Carmen? Eric, Cedric, Charlotte. We've got Mind Building, Dimitri, Jan. Just a few of the people watching us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Stand by, everybody. All right, stand by. How's everybody doing? I hope you all are staying safe. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all this news. All right. Shout out to everybody watching us on YouTube also. Stand by. How's everybody doing? Okay, so we've got Dimitri, Jan. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, October 4th, 2020, and we are live. Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. We have a jam-packed show tonight. There's so much going on. All right. So at the top of the hour, we talked very briefly about Donald Trump contracting coronavirus and Melania Trump. Donald Trump is at Walter Reed Hospital. Melania Trump is still at the White House. So Donald Trump is hospitalized, diagnosed with coronavirus. Now, keep in mind, this is after making fun of Joe Biden for always wearing a mask at the first presidential debate that took place this past Tuesday. It was a crazy debate. It was, most people calling it the worst one in history. Donald Trump just showed his entire behind. He acted like a 2-year-old toddler. He interrupted Joe Biden. One count was 73 times. People polled, basically 6 out of 10 people said Joe Biden won it. I went through and looked at a lot of the fact checking on it. Many more statements from Joe Biden were true compared to Donald Trump, but we figured that anyway. So we'll talk some about the presidential debate, do a little fact checking on that. Something that's very interesting that came up in the presidential debate was dealing with federal judges. Okay, now everybody, I did a 2.5-hour broadcast after the debate. Okay, that same night after the debate, I think it was about 11:30. I did a 2.5-hour broadcast. It's been viewed 50,000 times on Facebook. Go watch it because I get deep into this information. Go watch it at our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Watch it after this show. Don't watch it now, but watch it after this show, okay? Then we have an update in the Breonna Taylor case. Breonna Taylor Grand Jury tapes have been released. On Politics Nation on Saturday, Reverend Al Sharpton interviewed Benjamin Crump. I was trying to find that clip. They haven't put it up yet. But with the release of the grand jury tapes, this causes more questions to be asked, okay? This causes more questions to be asked. We'll talk a little bit about that. Samuel L. Jackson's Enslaved, Part 3 just aired this past week. You've heard me talk about Enslaved. This deals with studying the transatlantic slave trade through lost shipwrecks, okay? But the series has been sold to 130 territories. Samuel L. Jackson's slavery series, Enslaved, sold to 130 territories by Fremantle. We'll talk some about that. And then this past week, this story came out first from Bloomberg. Well, first from Channel 4 News in the UK. Bloomberg picked up this story. Talk about more voter suppression. Okay, this dealt with 2016. Trump 2016 campaign targeted 3.5 million black people to deter them from voting. Trump 2016 campaign targeted 3.5 million black people to deter them from voting. HuffingtonPost.com picked up this story. Bloomberg was the first one to break this story in the U.S. Bloomberg.com, Trump labeled black voters, quote unquote, deterrents in 2016 TV report says. So we'll talk some about that. So this deals with some more voter suppression from 2016. And this was designed around discouraging African Americans from voting. And then remember, after Donald Trump won in the Electoral College, okay, because he lost the popular vote, he actually thanked people. He actually thanked African Americans for not voting. And he said, you not voting was almost as good as the black people who voted for me. Okay, imagine that. So, you know, hey, hashtag karma. I've been seeing that hashtag a lot lately. All right. So on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economy, entrepreneurship, relationships, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, the 228 this newsletter. Also, go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can sign up for the email newsletter there as well. All right. So if we quickly here in a clip, Jalen, in the minute that I sent you of doctor criticizes Trump motorcade ride outside Walter Reed Hospital. We'll go to that in just a minute. But let's look at this. Let's look at this story, TheHill.com. Well, it's really from the Wall Street Journal, picked up by TheHill.com. October 4th, 2020, posted at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trump sought to keep COVID-19 diagnosis secret Thursday as he awaited second test result. Wall Street Journal. Trump sought to keep COVID-19 diagnosis secret as he awaited second test result. This is reported by the Wall Street Journal. Oh, what a tangle web we weave when first we practice to deceive. How you doing, Marnice Chris Jackson? My sister of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Shout out to the Zetas. They're having their conference this weekend. And it's their centennial as well. My sister's a Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And then last night, DJ D Nice had they had a, what was it? They had a virtual party with D Nice. So that was on Instagram. We watched that last night. Okay, so that was good. All right, so. Let's look at this story here. Donald Trump hid the results of his first positive COVID-19 test on Thursday while awaiting the results of a second test that would later also come back positive, the Wall Street Journal reported Sunday. People familiar with the president's health told the newspaper that a rapid COVID-19 test returned a positive result before Donald Trump called in to Fox News for an interview with Sean Hannity on Thursday evening. During the interview, Donald Trump addressed the diagnosis of his aide, Hope Hicks, with coronavirus, but did not reveal that he had apparently already tested positive. Okay. I mean, it's just gross negligence all the way around, because they knew Hope Hicks. Apparently, they knew Hope Hicks was positive before they went to Bedminster, New Jersey. Okay, Trump was in close proximity to Hope Hicks. Other people were in close proximity to her. Some of the people pulled off the plane, but they went to this fundraiser in Bedminster, New Jersey. I think it was on Thursday. And now in New Jersey, they're doing they have to do contact tracing. All those people, they're trying to track down all these people Trump and other people with him came in contact with. Yeah, because they're trying to identify these people, get them tested. Some people have to quarantine, etc., to keep this from spreading. All right, this is just gross negligence. Okay, so let's continue with this. So in a tweet later, now also it was in that interview with Sean Hannity that Donald Trump finally denounced white supremacy. Okay, because at the debate, he refused to, quote unquote, denounce white supremacy, a wholesale denouncement of white supremacy, that Tuesday presidential debate. When it came to the Proud Boys, he acted like he didn't know who they were. Just like years ago, just like in 2016 during the presidential election, 2016, who David Duke was. But there's a tape that surfaced from years earlier where he denounced David Duke. But in 2016, he acted like he didn't know who David Duke was. Okay. So he acted like he didn't know who the Proud Boys were. He told them to stand back and stand by. Merriam-Webster, the dictionary people, Merriam-Webster, they put out a statement defining what stand back and stand by means, and stand by means to get ready to take action. This is what Trump said to me. So that night, the Proud Boys, they're putting out T-shirts with their logo and stand back, stand by on it, and they are emboldened by what Trump said. Elections have consequences. Elections have consequences. So in a tweet hours later, just before 1 a.m. on Friday, so that was Friday, October 2nd. That would have been October 2nd. In a tweet hours later, just before 1 a.m. Friday, Trump announced his own diagnosis after a second test performed used a deeper nasal swab, also returned a positive test. So it appears when we look at Dr. Vin Gupta on MSNBC, it appears at the White House they used the Abbott Labs rapid test, and that rapid test it can give a false negative 30% of the time. All right, so first he got a positive from the rapid test, and then they did the deeper nasal swab test, okay, which is more accurate, and it came back positive as well. Okay, but we knew it was going to come back. You know, when you look at how careless he has been in these events, especially the super spreader event Saturday, September 26th in the Rose Garden of the White House, what do you think was going to happen? This is what people are asking. What do you think was going to happen? So Donald Trump tweeted 12:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, October 2nd, 2020, tonight. Flotus and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will go through this together. Okay. She's at the White House. He's at Walter Reed. All right. You know, so, okay. I'm not going to say anything about this. Okay. All right. So the Wall Street Journal also reported that Donald Trump told at least one aide to keep their own positive test results secret. Now, all these people around Trump, his campaign manager tested positive, Chris Christie tested positive. All these Republicans are testing positive. All right. And many of them were at that Rose Garden event Saturday, September 26th. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment from the Wall Street Journal for TheHill.com. Asked later on Sunday, October 4th, 2020, whether the president was tested before the presidential debate on Tuesday or before he attended a fundraiser in New Jersey on Sunday, White House, the previous Sunday, the 3 days before the Tuesday presidential debate. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany declined to say, quote, "Yeah, I'm not going to give you a detailed readout with timestamps every time the president is tested. He's tested regularly, and the first positive test he received was after his return from Bedminster." Well, maybe you should give a timestamp, because after he tested positive, everybody he came in contact with, pretty much they need to, if he had like direct contact with them, they need to be tested at least and possibly self-quarantine. So maybe you should give a timestamp. I'm not going to give a detailed readout of his testing, but safe to say his first positive test was upon return, or at least after Bedminster, end quote. So news of the timing of Trump's diagnosis comes as the media has grappled with contradictory statements about the president's health from top officials since the announcement of his positive test results early Friday. Okay, early Friday morning, October 2nd. I was watching it live. Brian Williams broke the story, MSNBC. I'm watching it live. I saw Hope Hicks, and I'm posting. I'm on Facebook, and I'm posting as this stuff is taking place. So when it was revealed, Hope Hicks, a senior aide to Trump, who has close dealings with Trump on a regular basis, when she tested positive, I said, okay. And when they were sitting waiting for, they said, we're waiting from the White House to hear if President Trump is tested positive. I said, oh, he's got it also. And then they said, okay, this is what we've been waiting for. Here it is. We got the confirmation. He and the first lady tested positive. So try to tell you. All right. So reporters have hammered the president's physician over a statement he made admitting that he did not initially tell reporters that the president had been placed on supplemental oxygen, even when asked directly about the issue, due to a desire to be, quote, upbeat, end quote, about Trump's status. There was a desire to be, quote, upbeat, end quote, about Trump's status. So I guess maybe you wanted to play it down. Is that what you want to do? You didn't want people to panic. You wanted to play it down. Okay. All right. That's how you want to do it. So White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows also told reporters Saturday, October 3rd, that the president's vitals had been, quote unquote, very concerning at one point, and indicated that Trump was not yet on a path to full recovery, directly contradicting White House physician Sean Conley's earlier assertion that Trump was doing, quote, very well, end quote, against the disease. Okay, so now we hear that he could be released as early as Monday. And the doctors are saying, like doctors on MSNBC, they're saying, dude, you can't release him on Monday. So this is, leadership is, a lot of leadership is about judgment. It's about character. It's about transparency. All right. So, all I can tell you, all I can say is I told you so. I knew this was going to happen. All right. Okay, so let's go to this clip here. Let me see how we on time. All right, we had that clip queued up. Jalen, doctor criticizes Trump's motorcade. Yeah. Okay, let's go to this clip here. This is Dr. Esther Chu, Dr. Esther Chu, responding to this motorcade stunt that Trump did at Walter Reed Hospital. Let's go to this clip.
I want to begin with you. What is most shocking to you watching the video? Is it the fact that the president left the hospital where he's supposed to be in quarantine, or is it the fact that there are other people in that car?
All very upsetting. I mean, this is evidence that his behavior, his treatment course is not being directed by his doctors. There's no doctor that would say now is the time for a joyride around the hospital. He should remain put. He should remain in isolation, and it makes me sick to see him in close quarters with the car, who, as Dr. Phillips said, need to go into quarantine right now. And, I'll also say, when we put patients on high-dose steroids like that, we monitor them very closely because there's a host of side effects, including impact on their mental health and decision-making. You can see delirium or psychosis. You are generally not yourself. I mean, I've been on a course of steroids for asthma. I was not myself a day later. And so there comes a time when patient very specific treatment regimen maybe shouldn't be making decisions about what they have capacity to do. Just this decision to put people at risk, maybe even people out of the car that we didn't see who helped them get into the car. being so blatantly, willing to put to do that to others while he's sick and infectious with COVID, it just makes you start to wonder.
All right, so I have to understand. They're saying one of the side effects of taking the treatment that Trump had included steroids, and one of the side effects is delirium. You're not yourself think rationally. So they're wondering now. Just be clear, he didn't think rationally before this. I mean, let's just be honest. This the guy that said maybe you should use bleach, okay, to fight coronavirus. Maybe you should inject bleach in yourself to fight coronavirus. So he wasn't rational before this. But this is like really crazy, okay? So, you have to sit back and you just wonder what the heck is going on. This is some scary stuff, all right? I'm serious. Now, the other thing is, on the other side, the last effects. There's problems with cognitive abilities, heart issues, kidney issues, etc. So just because covers does not mean that there are not lasting side effects also from coronavirus. Well, so, but he suffered from poor judgment in the first place. So it may get it'll probably get worse. It'll probably get worse from now. So we just got to be prepared for this. It'll probably get worse. And there's a lot of people realizing that they made a mistake voting for Donald Trump. There's a lot of people realizing they made a mistake voting for Donald Trump. Also at the debate. There's some of the things that came up, some of the topics that came up at the debate. So the vice president is up this Wednesday. That's what people expect Kamala to prosecute, Trump administration to prosecute Mike Pence. Okay, so that's going to people are going to be watching that. I want to go to this next clip here. We have that. Let me see. What's that clip? We have that clip from Jalen, and I don't have it in front of me. Let me see. I think it's clip 2 is dealing with the doctors respond to. I think is that clip 2 because it disappeared in front of me here. The doctors responding to Trump having coronavirus from AM Joy.
Yes, audio ready.
Yeah. Let's go to that clip.
Amy already said.
No, not that.
She is on the 7th.
Jalen. It's Amy Coney Barrett. Another one from AM Joy. Did I shoot?
No.
Oh, receive. All right. Check the while we get that together. Very quickly here. Also, pay attention. Unemployment numbers came out on Thursday. They come out every Thursday morning. So when I did a 2.5-hour post-debate recap, presidential debate recap. Okay, go watch that at our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. We know Thursday morning the unemployment numbers come out every Thursday. Okay, and the U.S. economy is facing a type of long-term unemployment. The Labor Department said on Friday had been out of work for 27 weeks more. 2 million people have been out of work for 27 weeks or more. The threshold it uses to define long-term joblessness. Nearly 5 million people are at same benchmark in the next 2 months. And then we also saw you had about another 860,000 or so people who filed for first-time unemployment this past week. The numbers. We saw the numbers came out from the Labor Department. The job numbers came out from the Labor Department on Friday. and there's about 660,000 jobs or so created. But these are basically people going back to work, and we see the economy continue to slow down. The unemployment rate fell to 7.9%, but the decline masks a, no pun intended, masks a worrying trend. Many women who were hit hard early in the pandemic as service sector jobs evaporated and child care responsibilities kept them at home have stopped looking for jobs and dropped out of the workforce entirely. So it was approximately 750,000 to 800,000 women who dropped out of the labor market, which contributed to the unemployment rate dropping 9%. Just because the unemployment rate drops does not necessarily mean that's a good thing. If you had about 750,000, 800,000 women plus about 200,000 or so men. So you had basically about a million people who dropped out of the labor market, which caused which really contributed to the unemployment rate dropping to 7.9%. Okay, so check out the reporting from New York Times and Washington Post on this also. Did you see that second email I sent you, Jalen?
No.
Okay. We'll go to that clip on the other side of the break then. All right. So let's continue here. So we have that taking place with Donald Trump as we see an uptick in coronavirus across the country. We see upticks in about 21 states across the country, as well as the U.S. House Democrats and Republicans try to hammer out another coronavirus bill. All right, we're coming up on a break. On the other side of the break, we'll go to we'll deal with the presidential debate that took place this past week. I've never seen anything like this before. This was the craziest presidential debate I've seen. This craziest one I've ever heard of, craziest one I've ever seen. Donald Trump just acted like a complete jackass. I mean, he really did. And, so we'll deal with some fact checking from that. One of the things that came up in the debate was federal judges. Donald Trump said that there were 128 federal judges. I'm gonna go to that clip, that first one you played from AM Joy. I'm gonna go to the second here, Jalen. Donald Trump incorrectly stated that there were 128 federal judge vacancies when he was president. It was actually 105. Let's look right before we go to break. Let's look at this fact checking here. PolitiFact.com fact check why Barack Obama failed to fill over 100 judgeships. Why Barack Obama failed to fill over judgeships. Now, you saw me talk about this in the 2.5-hour broadcast that I did post debate fact check. There were 105 empty federal judgeships when President Obama left office. That's because in the last 2 years, Republicans controlled the U.S. Senate. The U.S. Senate is who confirms federal judges. Republicans in the Senate blocked President Obama's federal judge nominations. Okay, let's go to this clip here from AM Joy, MSNBC. Trump picked Amy Coney Barrett and balances court more claims. This is going to talk important the federal and how President's nominations were blocked, which left all these openings for Trump to fill. Let's go to this clip.
Barrett already sits in a stolen seat. She's on the 7th Circuit Court of she fills a seat, was nominated by Barack Obama. Barack Obama nominated a woman named Myra Shelf to sit on that circuit, black woman. In 2016. Mitch McConnell blocked the black woman just like he blocked Merrick Garland. And when Trump got in, he appointed Coney Barrett to Selby's seat. The 7th Circuit, which has 11 justices, is the only circuit that is an all-white circuit in our country. The 7th Circuit covers Chicago. Right? That's the scope of what we're looking at here. Trump has infused the entire federal judiciary, not just the Supreme Court, but everything up and down the with Trump judges, overwhelmingly white judges, overwhelmingly male judges, and we are long overdue for an expansion of sports to more reflect plurality and diversity of judges.
So one thing I find interesting is that the right made this issue for their case. This has always been what they took with them into the vote. The left has not. The irony of it is that the impact courts have disproportionately impact on the left, more specifically people of color. What can we do to change the conversation and, quite frankly, the political landscape to make the courts just as important an issue on the left as they are in conservative circles?
Democrats have to do a messaging to their base about how important. Republicans do this all the time. Look, I do not think the base Republican voter is any smarter than the base Democratic voter. But the Republicans have made this the one-to-one connection. If you want this, then you must have the courts. If you don't like gay people, then you must have the courts. If you want guns, then you must have. The Democrats do not message our base in the same way. If you want reasonable support, the Democrats have one-to-one connection. And we are right. We know we're right. More people agree with us, and we think that being right and being, and put the ball. It ain't enough to put the ball. Is controlling this institution of minority of judges that are for life. That are appointed for life, and opinion. Controlling that branch is how we control these major issues that we care about.
All right, so that is legal expert Emma Stahl. He writes for TheNation.com. He used to write for LawAndCrime.com, I think. Also, he's right on point. Now, you've heard me talk about the federal courts, U.S. Supreme Court. In 2016, I was doing nationally syndicated radio 5 days a week on the Empowerment Network. I was doing the Michael. I was guest hosting the Roland Martin radio show, and during the 2016 presidential, I saw interviews and campaign speeches that I'm still trying to recover from that. And I saw numerous interviews with Trump supporters, focus groups, things like this. Many Trump supporters and Republicans in general, but Trump supporters also. Okay. They said that this is about the courts. They said this is about the U.S. Supreme Court. They said this is about the federal courts, control of that. All right. They're talking about the courts, the federal courts. Many of us talking about the basketball court, watching the championship. We don't understand the correlation. This is, you've heard me talk about this before. A lot of this deals with the fear of the year 2043. The year 2043 is when the U.S. Census predict that white people will no longer be the majority population in this country. All right. So what you have, Moscow, Mitch McConnell, Republicans, they are focused on controlling the federal bench, the federal court, the federal district court, federal court of appeals, and the U.S. Supreme Court for the next 25, 30, 40 years. These are lifetimes. They're made that they can control federal law through control of the federal courts. This is what the court understand this long-range planning, politics, legal distribution, power, resources, and the writing of statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. I know we're coming up on a break here. How much time before the break, Jalen? Because our clocks are off.
Yeah.
When we come back to this article briefly, Newsweek, Trump has appointed 216 new federal judges, and it could be 230 by Election Day. This is from September 18th, 2020. These are lifetime appointments. So our children's children, our grandchildren, could go to court and deal with rulings from federal judges that Trump has put on the bench. You listen to the African History Network show right here on AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. Be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. All right, stand by. I got to get ready for this next segment. The computer's freezing up on me. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Go read these articles that I'm giving you also. How's everybody doing on YouTube? Okay. Stand by. This is freezing up on me here. How's everybody doing? Okay. The audio's not good. Can you all hear me? Alicia said the audio's not good. Can you all hear me? Restream is causing issues with the stream. Hold on. Can you all hear me? Okay. All right. All right. Stand by, everybody. We'll be back in just a minute here. I think we're 2 minutes from the break. Stand by. Give me a minute. I got to pull up this information for this next segment because I had this stuff pulled up and it disappeared on me. All right. Let's see who we have. We have Rachel Frank. How you doing, Rachel? Got Eddie. Okay, Wanda is fading in and out. About 60 tabs open. I'm trying to cut because I do so much research. I'm trying to tabs up. Let's see what's going on here. So stand by just a second here. All right, we're back for just a minute. We've got Eric, Ebony. Also, try to refresh your browser and see if it clears it up on your end. Try to refresh your browser. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, October 4th, 2020, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. It's crazy, crazy times. We see what's going on in the news here. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, refresh your screen. Some people are saying the audio is going in and out. I'm trying to close some of these tabs on this end here, see what's going on. All right. So those watching us on Facebook, Carmelita Turner, Onique Williams, Kim Robinson, Marnice Chris Jackson, Tomanika Howes. How you all doing? Tomanika's in Pittsburgh. Okay, let's see here. Kim, okay. All right. So let's continue. I want to, right before the break, we talked briefly about this article here from Newsweek.com. Trump has appointed 216 new federal judges, 216 new federal judges, and it could be 230 by election day. So since the start of his presidency, Donald appointed at least 16 federal judges to U.S. federal courts. The Republican-led Senate has helped Trump appoint federal judges at a historic pace. And just this past week, 6 new judges nominated Trump were confirmed by the Senate. So instead of passing a coronavirus bill in the Senate and coming to a consensus with Democrats in the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi in the House, they've been continuing to push through these federal judges, most of them unqualified. They're focused on ultra conservative, very young white male judges, okay? Because this deals with controlling the federal courts for the next 25, 30, 40 years. This is what this is all about. This is their goal. And a lot of these nominations are on a list coming from the Federalist Society. Now, back September 9th, 2020, Donald Trump released a list of 20. This was before Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. He released a list of 20 potential Supreme Court justice nominees. Okay. Attorney General Daniel Cameron, the Attorney General of Kentucky, who did not indict officers for killing Breonna Taylor, he was one of the names on that list. Newsweek.com has an article about this. He was one of the names on this list. All right. While they're focused on the federal courts, we're focused on the basketball court and don't understand long range planning. Senate Majority Leader Moscow Mitch McConnell has pushed the upper chamber, which is the U.S. Senate, to approve nominations and told the Hugh Hewitt show in February that his approved that his motto for the year is leave no vacancy behind. Leave no vacancy behind. That's his motto for the year. Okay. All right. Shout out to Erica Watson. Also, how you doing, Erica? On average, the Senate has approved 6.75 judges per month since the 116th Congress convened in January 2019. On average, the U.S. Senate has confirmed 116 federal 0.75 judges per month since the 116th Congress convened in January 2019. If that pace continues, an estimated 13 to 14 vacancies would be filled by November 3rd. Okay. Now, Donald Trump has appointed far more federal judges than his predecessors. Data from heritage.org, the Heritage Foundation, shows former President Barack Obama appointed 158 federal judges among 188 nominees. George W. Bush and Bill Clinton appointed 203 judges on 239, 200 respectively. There was if we the fact check from politifact.com, okay, because Trump just did so much lying during the debates. It's unbelievable. We'll go to the phone lines in just a minute. I know we have Wadsworth on the line. Calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment, okay? 313-778-7600 is the call number. So we'll go to the phone lines in just a minute here. So it came up in the debate about federal judges. All right. What happened was in 2014, Democrats lost control of the U.S. Senate. Okay. The 2014 midterm elections, which means Republicans were in control. All right. And then what's going to take place after that is that they're basically going to block President Obama's nominations to the federal bench. And then we know that they blocked his nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court. Also did not give Merrick Garland a hearing at all. Did not give him a hearing, did not give him a thumbs up or down vote. Okay. So this is what's place. So Republicans are playing the game, want to control the federal courts. When you voting for a president is not about one person. This is the dumbest thing I hear people. This is the trajectory of the country in the next 20, 25, 30 years. A president nominates federal judges, federal U.S. Supreme Court. They nominations for Attorney General, Secretary of Education, Treasury Secretary, Secretary of Commerce, things like this. They all have to be confirmed by the U.S. All right. A president has economic advisors. If you look at the economy, first of all, when we look at the fact checking coming from Washington Post and other entities, and it came out in the debate Tuesday, there were more jobs created. Actually, there were 1.5 million more jobs created in the last 3 months of the Obama administration than the first 3 months of the Trump administration. So all this, elections have consequences. All right. This is not about one person. This is not about one person having a job or anything like this. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. When I talk about principles of political self-defense, because some people still don't get this, right? You look at one, whose policies are most beneficial for African Americans, whose policies are most realistic to take place, whose policies will do the least amount of harm, who can create an environment for us to push our agenda the farthest and get the most accomplished, who will protect gains that are already in place, protect laws that are already in place, because there's been over 200 policies that Trump has reversed from the Obama administration. Okay. Everything we're doing with criminal justice reform to the Department of Education. We see that there are 100 environmental regulations either put in place by the Obama administration or kept in place by the Obama administration from previous administration. Trump has reversed those. New York Times has an extensive article listing all 100 environmental regulations, okay, dealing with water, air quality, emissions, all different types of things like this. All right. So all this impacts us. So it's not just about the stock market, as some people mistakenly believe. It's not just about the stock market. Stock market is not a good indicator of the overall healthiness of the economy. You got 30 million people that have lost their jobs in the past 28 months. Okay, but the stock market continues to progress. Now we saw it dropped 500 points. The Dow dropped 500 points because of diagnosis of Trump. This is one of the reasons why he did the shot the video from Walter Reed Hospital, because he wants to keep the markets. He wants to keep the markets propped up when they open up Monday morning. He wants to keep the markets propped up. That's what that's about. So we have to understand political self-defense and how all this is interconnected, interrelated. All these things that we say we want, all these things that people are protesting for, they're all tied to politics. Okay. So as I say before, a lot of the activists talk about they got this accomplished through protests and things like that. Well, you had to have somebody elected in office to properly respond to your protests, okay, and meet your demands. Because you can have somebody like Attorney General Daniel Cameron in office to say the hell with you. So we have to understand how all this is interrelated and interconnected. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We have Wadsworth on line 1, and those on Facebook. Can you all hear me? Those watching on the African History Network. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's fine.
Okay. Go ahead, Wadsworth. Go ahead with your question, comment.
Okay, my question is this: when you said that Trump had he was just aiming. He was just aiming to be the justice. Is it possible to
do what?
And also, is it possible if the Senate approves it, but you also got the Congress.
So if the Senate approves a bill, that if a bill passes the House of Representatives and then goes to the Senate approves the bill. If the Senate has not made changes to the bill, then once the Senate approves the bill, it goes to the president's desk to be signed into law. If the Senate makes changes to the bill, it goes back to the House to be approved. The House has to approve those changes. So the House and the Senate have to come to a consensus. And then once it passes both the House and the Senate, then it goes to the president's desk to be signed into law. And just so people understand constitutional law, if a president vetoes a bill coming from Congress, if they have a 2/3 majority vote in both the House and the Senate to override a presidential veto, then the bill will still be signed into law. If they have enough votes in both the House, 2/3 majority in both the House and the Senate to override a presidential veto.
we talk about the judges.
Okay, okay. With judges, with federal judges, only the U.S. Senate is involved in hearings for federal judges and voting for federal and confirmations of federal judges. That has nothing to do with the House of Representatives. That's only the U.S. Senate. That's why the Senate is so important. This is what people don't understand. That has nothing to do with the House of Representatives. Okay.
And the last question is if because the judge, the person that Trump nominated, if she has COVID, that means when Biden becomes president, he can pick the justice, right? Any president can nominate.
Any president can nominate federal judges if there's an opening on the federal bench. That's part of the duties of a president, to nominate federal judges to fill those vacancies. And the president nominates federal judges. The U.S. Senate has the confirmation hearings, and they actually vote to confirm or not confirm federal judges. All right, Wadsworth, I got to get these other calls, man. Thanks for calling. Keep listening, okay? All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks. And we're coming up on a break here in a few minutes. Wadsworth is one of the loyal listeners of 9:10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF. Okay, I think we have Theo Broughton next, another loyal listener. Theo, how you doing, Theo?
Yes, we doing. Happy Sunday to you.
Yeah, happy Sunday to you too.
I wanted to ask. I thought it was kind of sad that the president's wife has been left out of the conversation altogether.
You said what's been left out of the conversation? You said what's been left out of the conversation?
Oh yes, they're not telling you about her status. But supposedly she was right there with
wait, hold on, slow down. You said they're not telling whose status?
The president's wife. She's an after.
Oh, her status is much better than they've been talking about on MSNBC. Her status is much better. That's why she didn't have to go to the hospital.
So they say, okay. I'm not, anyway. And I really wondered.
Well, hold on for a second, Theo, hold on. She's in much better health than Trump also. She's in much better health than Trump.
I guess you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he could have had a body double out there today in his parade?
No.
Or was it really him?
No, I think it was him.
Okay. Now, then there's two more things. One, what is the poll theme today? I know that Joe Biden is ahead, but what are the numbers?
NBC new poll came out. NBC News reported as a 14-point lead nationwide, and in the majority of the lead. And also, this poll came out after the debate. He opened up. He increased his lead on Trump, but this poll was before Trump was diagnosed with coronavirus.
Oh, okay, that's good. Now, last point has to do with the Senate. I'm hearing that there are more senators who are coming down with the virus, and we only need to drop 4 in order to flip the Senate. But there are more who are shaky now all of a sudden. I think that's wonderful news.
Well, the coronavirus, that doesn't mean they have to drop out of a race or anything like that. They'll self-quarantine.
That's true, but I'm not saying they were shaky because they're coming down with the virus. They were shaky because of the opponents in those states, like the one in Maine is having some challenge. South Carolina's having a challenge.
Well, Lindsey Graham
having a challenge. Texas.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham in South Carolina is neck and neck with Jamie Harrison. They just had the debate. I think it was Saturday night. Jamie Harrison kicked his behind. We know that Susan Collins in Maine, I think she's trailing. So a lot of these Republicans that voted to acquit Trump in early February in the impeachment trial in the Senate, they all need to be voted out of office because they violated their constitutional oath to defend the Constitution and defend the country against enemies, both foreign and domestic. So they all need to go.
And Snyder came out and said he's voting for Joe Biden.
Well, it's a lot of Republicans voting for Joe Biden because they understand how much of a threat Donald Trump is. They understand how
Mm-hmm.
terrible Trump is and how much of a threat Trump is. And that's why they're supporting Joe Biden. As much as now Snyder, he belongs in prison also, as far as I'm concerned. But he's correct on this.
Agreed.
I disagree with him on all that other stuff. But he's correct here. Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Okay,
Right.
well, we got a vote for Jerry Peters. We got to sacrifice John James in this case. We got to flip the Senate.
Well, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. So,
amen.
John James said he supports Donald Trump 2,000%. Okay.
Yeah, wasn't that crazy? And get rid of Obamacare. So he's got to go.
All right.
Got to go. But anyway, follow her research on Twitter, and I hope to talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for calling, Theo. Read this. Okay. All right. Thanks. Everybody, check out this. ABC News. Biden's national lead over Trump jumps to poll. Talking about before. So check this out. And okay, we're coming up on a break here. The poll conducted in the 2 days after the really in-field debate Tuesday before Trump tested positive 19. Biden is not by Trump 14 points among registered voters, 53% to 39%, up from his 8-point lead in the previous poll. Many states have early voting taking place right now, like the state of Michigan. All right, we know Joe Biden was in Grand Rapids this past week before Kamala Harris was here in Detroit. I'm voting in-person early voting. I'm doing in-person early voting. I'll be voting next week or so. All right, if you can do in-person early voting, do that. That way, you don't have to deal with the mail system. You can do the mail system if you want to, but you have to be 100% certain that you're filling out the ballot correctly. Okay, because if you don't, it can be challenged and thrown out. All right, and this is what Trump is banking on. Okay, because an army of at least 1,000 attorneys to challenge these mail-in ballots. So for a lot of people, if you've never done mail-in ballot before, and in your state, if you can do in-person early voting, which means there's less people there, more social distancing, and you feel comfortable doing that, do in-person early voting, and do in-person early voting, and in that way, you can at least ask questions also, okay? All right, we're coming up here on a break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. We'll be back a couple minutes here. Doing on Facebook. Can you all hear me okay on Facebook? Also, listen. Also, go to 9:10 a.m. Superstation FDF on Facebook, and you can watch us there as well. Welcome back to African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation BFDF. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday. And we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. Crazy week, a lot going on. Many of you all saw the presidential debate that took place. And this was the craziest presidential debate that I've seen and that I've heard of. Presidential historians are saying they've seen anything like this before either. But it took place this past Tuesday. I did a 2-hour broadcast dealing with the debate. So everybody go check that out at our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Okay. And let me try to pull up this information here. So PolitiFact.com had an article dealing with some of the fact checking. We talked some about that. That dealt with federal judges because Donald Trump was lying about federal judges, and he said that there were 128 openings on the federal bench. There were 105, but they broke down why the article from PolitiFact.com breaks down why there were these openings on the federal bench. And that's because President Obama's nominations in the last 2 years of his presidency were blocked by Republicans in the Senate. Now, also, there were at least 2 African-American judges that Trump nominated that got confirmed. One was an African-American female judge from the Detroit area. She's up in Flint. Okay, she was confirmed. And from most of what I hear about her, she's a good judge. I forgot her name. Detroit News has an article about this. And then there was one African American male judge also who was confirmed as well. I don't know his name. I think there was like 5 or 6 African American male judges that Trump nominated. Only one that I know of was confirmed. So there's at least 2 African American federal judges that Trump has gotten confirmed, but that's out of like 216. Most of them are overwhelmingly white, and most of them are white males. All right, just so people understand here. All right, I am. Let's see here. We're trying to put this up from Washington Post. So Washington Post had some good fact checking dealing with the debate, and so I'll put that up here in just a minute. We'll come back to that. Let's go to the story here dealing with Samuel L. Jackson and the documentary Enslaved. So I've been watching that episode 3 just aired. It comes on Monday. It's airing in, I think, 6 parts each Monday. Deadline.com has an article dealing with the series Samuel L. Jackson slavery series Enslaved, sold to 130 territories by Fremantle. Samuel L. Jackson series Enslaved, sold to 130 territories by Fremantle. Including Store TV in France, History in Germany, Movie Star, and RTE in Spain, HBO Portugal, BBC Earth and Wind, Discovery Film, and Trump in Eastern Europe, etc. So a number of different countries are picking up this documentary series. Mnet, South Africa, and cable and wireless in the Caribbean. The deals follow BBC 2 TW last month. Now, the documentary series Enslaved sheds new light on 400 years of when we look at the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 and 1919, it killed 675,000 Americans. It killed 50 million people worldwide, but it killed 675,000 people here in the U.S. Just so people understand.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and there was less people in the U.S. back then too, and it killed 675,000. Yeah. We're at 210,000 right now with coronavirus. Okay, and
that's a whole lot of people.
Yep, and you had President Woodrow Wilson in office then, who was not upfront with the people. Just like you got this incompetent president here who has not been upfront with the people to level with them, to explain what's going on, not pushing conspiracy theories. Now, notice this, man, the treatments that they give him, the treatments that one experimental drug and steroids, but they didn't give him hydroxychloroquine, and they didn't give him Clorox bleach either. Notice that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, he said Woodrow Wilson. He ain't no different. He wasn't no different than Donald Trump. Woodrow Wilson.
He was smarter.
You know, he was a little Birth of a Nation and all. You know, he was a racist.
Yeah, but he was a little smarter than Trump, though, man. But okay.
yeah, he was a little bit smarter. Yeah. And our people go for this. He gets his talking points and all that foolishness. These people told you the real deal, what was going on, and he could have told us. Well, he could have told the people.
Well, this is what happens.
We would have understood.
Well, see, leadership is about judgment. It's about judgment, about competency. I mean, Donald Trump has declared war on scientists and science for the last 3 years. This is what you get, man. When you have somebody who's dismantled pandemic teams, when you got rid of the predict pandemic team in late 2019, when his national security advisor John Bolton in May 2018 removed Timothy Zeimer, who headed up the National Security Council pandemic team, removed him from that position. That position was never filled again. When you go through and study this, you see a dismantling of pandemic teams, and you see a firing of scientists, and you see Trump has been declaring a war on science. This is why he said climate change was a climate change was a hoax. He's been saying that for some time. Now he's backed off of that, but he's not taking aggressive action to address climate change, to address these environmental issues. So okay, all this ties into politics. All this is connected. All right. Okay, man. Okay, we got to keep going. Okay, thanks for calling. Keep listening, okay? All right. 313-778-7600 is the calling number. 313-778-7600 is the calling number. If you have a question or comment. Okay, so we're back on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. The African History Network. We're back on YouTube. So those watching us there, Michael Imhotep on YouTube and The African History Network on Facebook. It should be clear. And I record all these with my HD video camera also. So we rebroadcast these all throughout the week. So you get to watch these as well. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay. So when we look at the article from PolitiFact.com, and do I still have it up? PolitiFact. It was dealing with the claim that Trump made 128 federal judges vacant on the federal bench when he became president. It was actually 105. They broke down why. I want to go to this clip here. So December 2019, Moscow Mitch McConnell was interviewed by Sean Hannity. There was an article from yahoonews.com. Mitch McConnell brags about blocking Obama for 2 years, then laughs about it. Okay, let's go to this clip. No, not that. Hey, Jalen. The second clip in the article, it says Jason Campbell, and it has the tweet, and it has
Let's talk about it. The issue has come up. Let's say somebody were to retire at the end of this year. Leading into the summer, you have been very clear if the president appointed somebody, you would follow through on that nomination.
Absolutely. We definitely would do that. And this paperback that we were just talking about, the president's foreword is about judges. My afterword catches up what's happened during the Trump administration on judges, because my memoir came out 3 years ago before the president was elected. What we've done here, the president and I together with this paperback that you've shown on the screen, is to talk about how the Judge Project came about, how it went forward. If you recall, Sean, the most important decision I've made in my entire political career was not to fill the Supreme Court vacancy when Justice Scalia passed away. That was the beginning. And now we've got an exclamation point here after 3 years that we thought the public would be interested in reading about. That's why the president and I collaborated on this paperback.
I was shocked that former President Obama left so many vacancies and didn't try to fill those positions.
I'll tell you why. I was in charge of what we did the last 2 years of the Obama administration.
I will give you full credit for that. And by the way, take a bow. All right, that was a good life.
Okay, so that's Mitch McConnell. This is from December 2019 on Fox News, Sean Hannity show. Here's Mitch McConnell bragging about blocking President Obama's federal bench nominations in the last 2 years. He's explaining what happened. Okay, people don't. A lot of times we just focus on the president. You don't focus on the legislative branch of government. That's a co-equal branch of government. This is why I tell people you have to read the U.S. Constitution. All this is explained in the Constitution. Go to loc.gov, Library of Congress website, the Library of Congress website, or archives.gov, National Archives. All this is explained in the U.S. Constitution. Article 1 lays out the powers of the legislative branch of government. Article 2 lays out the powers of the presidency. Okay. All right. So if we look at the fact checking from the Washington Post, they had some really good fact checking here. We're going to highlight some things here. In the contentious first presidential debate between Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden, Donald Trump repeatedly relied on troublesome and false assertions that have been debunked through his presidency. Joe Biden, by contrast, stretched the truth on occasion. Here's a roundup of 21 of the most noteworthy claims that initially caught our interest. We also published a follow-up report with an additional 32 claims. As is our practice, we do not award Pinocchios when we do a roundup of facts in debate. So this is from the Washington Post. So I've read fact checking from the Washington Post, New York Times, and NBC News. Now, Donald Trump did a whole lot more misstating and just flat out lying than Joe Biden did. All right. There were some misstatements that Biden made, but Trump did a whole lot more. So I just want to just look at a couple of maybe look at two. Well, for sake of time, may look at two. OK. Just so everybody's clear, Donald Trump did not bring back Big Ten football, as he claimed. He said, I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. Trump opposed the college football conference's game suspensions, but that's about it. He and other White House officials indicated federal resources were made available to the Big Ten, but one person familiar with the process told the Washington Post that the conference has not been given, nor has it requested federal assistance. Okay, so he was just lying there. Let me see. There's a couple of that I wanted to hone in on. We already talked about the federal judges because I did not get a chance to print this out here. So there's a couple of others. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%, Trump said. There is just no evidence for this pie in the sky prediction. In fact, prescription drugs are 3%, are up 3% since Trump's first full month in office through August, according to the Consumer Price Index. In 2019, we found generic prescription drug prices had fallen slightly under Trump, while branded drugs were becoming costlier, according to numerous studies. Trump issued a brief executive order September 13th telling the government to experiment with how Medicare pays drug companies. He has been promising several iterations of this idea for nearly 2 years, and the Department of Health and Human Services has never actually proposed rules for how such a policy would work. Okay, he's lying once again. And also, he's lying when he says they have a new health plan ready to go, because his attorney general is in court right now to repeal the entire Affordable Health Care Act and kick 20 million people off of health care during a global pandemic. That case goes before the U.S. Supreme Court November 10th. Okay, 1 week after the presidential election. This is why Trump also wants to get his Supreme Court nominee seated on the bench to rule in that case. And that would kill pre-existing conditions. It'd kick at least 20 million people off of health care, et cetera. All right, now he gets the best health care in the world, but he's trying to take away health care from taxpayers. Imagine that during a global pandemic. Let's get one more here. Okay, Trump said Joe Biden said there were 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. Donald Trump said there are not 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. Okay, Washington Post says Trump is wrong. There are an estimated 102 million people with pre-existing health conditions, according to a 2018 report by the consulting group Avalere, Avalere. But depending on where people get their insurance, such as the half of Americans who get it from their employer, premiums would not necessarily go up for all 102 million people if Trump succeeded in nullifying the Affordable Health Care Act. Premiums would not necessarily go up for all 102 million people if Trump succeeded in nullifying the Affordable Health Care Act. His administration is in court challenging the law, and in May, he told reporters, quote, "We want to terminate health care under Obamacare," end quote. So those who are confused, the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare are the same thing. Okay, because there was a poll that came out from New York Times about 2 or 3 years ago where almost 1/3 of Americans did not know that the Affordable Health Care Act and Obamacare were the same thing. All right. So, okay, we already talked about the federal judges, and all right, so we'll post this link here. You look at the fact checking. Go watch the 2.5-hour broadcast I did where I broke this down. Oh, this is a good one. The fact Biden said the fact of the matter is violent crime went down 17%. Then he said 15% in our administration. It's gone up on his watch, referring to Trump. So Joe Biden did not nail his usual talking point. He did not nail his usual talking point. So this turns out to be false. In discussing his record, he often mentions violent crime. But when he discusses Trump, he talks about murders. This selective presentation puts Biden in the best possible light and Trump in the worst. As its source for the violent crime data, the Biden campaign pointed to a 2017 report by our colleagues at factcheck.org on statistics about the Obama administration. Citing the FBI, factcheck.org said, quote, "The number of violent crimes per 100,000 population was nearly 16% lower in 2016 than in 2008. So 2016, last full year of the Obama administration. The number of violent crimes per 100,000 population was nearly 16% lower in 2016 than in 2008. And the property crime rate dropped nearly 24%. The property crime rate dropped nearly 24%, but the murder rate did not drop at all. It was 5.4 murders per 100,000, both in 2008 and in 2016. Okay, this is citing reporting from the FBI. So if Joe Biden compared his record on murders, he would not have much to brag about, the Obama-Biden administration on murders. There was no improvement under Obama. As for the stats so far in 2020, the campaign cited calculations by crime analyst Jeff Asher, Asher, who compared the non-population adjusted data for the 25 biggest cities for the first 7 months of the year with the first 7 months of 2019. The number of murders went up 26%, but the number of violent crimes is essentially flat. So the number of murders under Trump has gone up 26%. The first 7 months of 2019 compared to the first 7 months of 2020. Murders under Trump have gone up 26% year over year, but violent crimes are essentially flat. In other words, Biden's jab at Trump is wrong. There has been little change in violent crime under Trump. Murders have gone up, but little change in violent crime. Okay, so read the fact checking from Washington Post. We'll post a link here in the thread of our broadcast. Fact checking the first Trump-Biden presidential debate. NBCnews.com also has some really good fact checking, as well as the Washington Post, because I looked at all of them. All right, and then okay, how much time we have left in the show, Jalen?
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. All right, let's go to let's look at Breonna Taylor. Let's see. We got that article here. We saw the grand jury tapes were released. I think that was Friday, and it was like 15 hours of grand jury tapes released. It causes more questions to be asked. NBCnews.com has this article. We posted a number of articles dealing with this. Breonna Taylor Grand Jury recordings paint chaotic, confusing scene. A judge ordered the recordings to be made public following a court motion filed by an unidentified grand juror. So newly released, this is from October 2nd, 2020, newly released grand jury recordings, including testimony from police and witnesses in the Breonna Taylor case, paint a chaotic and confusing scene leading up to the woman's fatal shooting. In the recordings released on Friday, police officers said they knocked and announced their presence before entering Breonna Taylor's apartment. But her boyfriend said he did not hear officers identify themselves and instead fired toward the front door. Earlier this week, an unidentified juror filed a motion asking that the judge unseal the transcript and records related to Taylor's March 13th, 2020 death. The judge had ordered for the recordings to be released Wednesday, but Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron filed a motion for a 1-week extension to give his office time to redact the personal information of witnesses. So we saw on Saturday Night Live, Megan Thee Stallion called out Attorney General Daniel Cameron as well. The Huffington Post, Black Voices has an article about that. None of the three officers who fired their weapons that night, Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, Detective Miles Cosgrove, and former Officer Brett Hankinson, were charged in connection to Breonna Taylor's death. Last week, the grand jury indicted Hankinson on 3 counts of wanton endangerment. Okay. On Friday, one of the lawyers representing Taylor's family applauded the grand jury and accused prosecutors of hindering justice. Sam Aguiar, Aguiar, said in a statement, "This grand jury was great, paid attention, asked important questions, sought critical evidence that was not made available to them, had critical observations, and they were stonewalled every step of the way by a prosecution team," Daniel Cameron and his prosecution team, a prosecution team that had a predetermined outcome and a disingenuous agenda. End quote. Now, the recordings are approximately 15 hours long and cover the grand jury's session from September 21st through September 23rd. At one point during the proceedings, a detective for the Attorney General's office named Herman Hall was asked if there was a formal plan for the raid at Taylor's apartment. He said, "I'm not aware of one. I'm not aware of one. Not aware of a formal plan for the raid at Breonna Taylor's apartment." Okay. Read the rest of this from NBC News. Breonna Taylor grand jury recordings paint chaotic, confusing scene. We'll continue for a few more minutes on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Thanks for tuning in to the African History Network show on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Mo. We'll talk to you next week. Peace. All right, those watching on Facebook, stand by, and YouTube, stand by. We have to disconnect from the radio station. Okay, so we'll be here for a few more minutes. How's everybody doing? We had some technical difficulties broadcasting the first part of the show. How's everybody doing? We'll be here for a few more minutes. Let's see here. Okay, so let's continue with this Breonna Taylor story, and let's flip over, monitor this on Facebook. Let's see who we have here. How's everybody doing? You should be able to hear me better now. Okay, can y'all hear me? Okay, Erica, Lakeem, Alpo. Just a few of the people watching us on Facebook. All right, let's continue here. We may do a little more fact check. I have time that we'll get to. We may get to one or two more fact checks from the debate also, and let's see here. We have a. We can play this. We've got. Okay, we've got that. Let's go to the debate here. Let's all the way registered. Okay, we'll get that queued up. We have a recap of the debate coming up also. Stand by. Okay, this is fact checkers.
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State.
Biden did not claim he attended Delaware State.
And the fact of the matter is violent crime went down 17%, 15% in our administration. All right. It's gone up on his watch.
There has been little change in violent crime under Trump. Murders are going up 26% under Trump.
Seattle. They heard we were coming in the following day, and they put up their hands, and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't.
Okay, officials in both cities denied the Trump administration had any involvement with their decisions.
They're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
Okay, some states are mailing ballots to all, hold on, let me pause it. Some states are mailing ballots to all registered voters. Others are mailing ballot applications. 6 states are doing neither. Some states are mailing ballots to all registered voters. Others are mailing ballot applications. You fill out that ballot application, send it back, and they send you a ballot. 6 states are doing neither.
Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%.
Okay, so prescription drug prices are up 3% since Trump's first full month in office through August. Trump is doing some of these executive orders that don't mean anything. Some of these executive orders he's doing are as worthless as a degree from Trump University.
Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use.
Okay, Hunter Biden was discharged from the Navy Reserve after, what was it? I'm trying to see the Hunter, what is this picture in picture? Hunter Biden was discharged from the Navy Reserve after, let's back up some here. Okay, he was discharged from the Navy Reserve after a drug test, but he was not dishonorably discharged. He was not dishonorably discharged. Okay, so that is it's a short video here in this article from the Washington Post dealing with fact checking. Let me look at this other one here. Let's see what we have here. Okay, stand by. We'll get that up. We'll go back to Breonna Taylor in just a minute. Some of this I had already prepared, and some of these clips disappeared on me. So stand by.
As far as the ballots are concerned, it's a disaster. A solicited ballot, okay, solicited is okay. You're soliciting, you're asking, they send it back, you send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country. There's fraud. They found them in creeks. They found some with the name Trump, just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. And take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened.
Okay, so only 5%, not 30 or 40%, only 5% of ballots were linked to fraud allegations in Paterson, New Jersey. Now, Donald Trump said they found ballots in, he's talking about in the Philadelphia area, they found ballots in rivers, things like this. So there was a press conference, and Kayleigh McEnany, the White House press secretary, she was asked by the reporters, which river did they find these ballots in? And who found the ballots? She couldn't answer the question. They asked, which river? He said they said ballots were found in river. Which rivers were these ballots found in? She couldn't answer the question. He's just making stuff up.
In Virginia and other places, they're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing,
President Trump,
it's a rigged election.
There's no evidence of these false claims.
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know.
Okay, so the Republican Party has no poll watchers currently certified in Philadelphia. I did this fact checking in the 2.5 broadcast that I did after the debate. All right. The Republican Party currently has no poll watchers certified in Philadelphia.
Why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things.
Okay, so Philadelphia has a higher African American population. And so what he's doing is targeting cities that have higher African American populations because they're more likely to vote Democratic. He's targeting them. Not see when he is calling for his supporters to go and be poll watchers. He's basically telling them to go into inner cities. He's not telling them to be poll watchers out in their own communities. He's not telling them to be poll watchers in suburbs. He's not telling them to be poll watchers in rural areas where they live. He's telling them to go into other people's communities and be poll watchers there. Let me try to pull this up right quick, and then we'll go back to the Breonna Taylor for just a minute. Let me see if I can find this fact checking here dealing with poll watchers. All right, there was one. Let's see. It was dealing with Philadelphia. Hold on. All right, we can't. Okay, that's not coming up. And there was one other clip I was trying to, find. Let's see here. Did we get those up here? All right, just a second. Let's see what. Okay, that's Washington Post. Okay, I'll try to pull one up. All right, let's go back. How's everybody doing? We have Hasselt, Daryl, Delaware State is a HBCU. No, Biden did not attend. Yeah, Trump was just all over the place. Erica, Janai, Jason, Linda, Daryl. Okay, just a few of the people watching. Okay, we'll go to this one here from MSNBC just a second. I had some of these I had some of these pulled up, but I was in the rundown sheet for tonight's show. One of the versions of it did not save the links that I had, so I got to go back and try to find these. Okay, so Stephanie Rule on MSNBC does a fact check. Trump and Biden's remarks on the economy at the debate. Let's go to this clip.
Peter, to you first. The president's claim over and over the greatest economy ever. Can you fact check this for us? Because we were in an economic expansion. The president then put in place the largest tax cut ever that impacted corporate America. That tax cut cost us so much in a shortfall in terms of tax revenue. We were then forced to cut social programs that hurt the people at the bottom. That tax cut didn't actually do what he said it was going to do, and we saw the economy contract in 2019. Can you explain this?
I mean, this is the debate. We saw the nub of it. And again, there was so much chaos last night. But this is I think the seed of a debate that's probably worth having. It's the V-shaped recovery versus the K-shaped recovery, right? And we got a bit of that. The V-shaped recovery is what the president is claiming, that if you look at the equity markets, the stock market, if we've seen the bounce back, if you look at the jobs numbers, Stephanie, as you said, they're really bad, but they're better than a lot of economists predicted. So there is, and largely because of a bipartisan effort on stimulus and the Fed's action, so it's not Trump's doing. Biden's argument, which he got to, is this K-shaped recovery, which again, what you got at, which is the recovery has largely been concentrated in the wealthiest, right? If your gains in the equity markets have been largely concentrated in the big tech companies, which means that people invested in big tech companies, including the executives themselves, have gotten wealthy, but the rest of the economy has done very badly. Small and medium-sized enterprises, people who are being laid off, who have lost now some of this extra unemployment benefits that was part of the stimulus package. So that, to me, was at the nub of a pretty good economic debate that could be had, which, of course, was not had because the President of the United States decided he did not want to. Was not had because the President of the United States decided he did not want to actually have a real debate. There are substance on both sides. I think, frankly, as you said, Stephanie, most of the weight of the argument is on the vice president's side, but it's a debate worth having.
Ben, did Joe Biden miss an opportunity to have that debate? Because he actually had the facts on his side while the president polls better on economic issues. If you actually look at the facts, the president says over and over, Joe Biden just wants to raise your taxes. He doesn't. He's looking to raise the taxes of corporate America. They were at 39%, moved down to 21%. He wants to move them up to a midway point, which many business leaders, including Jamie Dimon, including President Trump's former economic advisor, Gary Cohn, say is a good idea. Did Joe Biden miss the opportunity to have that conversation? Because Trump would have you think he's going to raise everybody's taxes. And you know me, I'm all about the middle class tax cut, which we have never gotten.
Right. Well, Trump has talked endlessly about doing this middle class tax cut. He likes to talk about it close to elections and then never actually didn't miss an opportunity. He probably did, partly because he couldn't get a word in edgewise and kept getting yelled over and talked over. But there was an opportunity, in real time, fact check Trump about some of these economic claims. As Peter talked about, you talked about, we have gained a lot of jobs the last couple of months, but we lost 22 million, and we're nowhere near close to getting back those jobs that we lost. And the pace of job creation is slowing. And as you noted, small business, mid-sized businesses suffering very bad. 50% of all small businesses that closed during COVID-19 are closed for good. 26 million still getting unemployment benefits. So there were Biden to say, look, this economy is not roaring back the way Trump says it is. It was not the best ever. The way he inherited a good economy, it was basically the same under Trump as it was under Obama. All the unemployment statistics were low when Trump was in, the first couple of years of his term before COVID, but they all started under Obama. The trends were no different. So, yes, he could have made those claims and said, yeah, I do want to raise taxes on the wealthy in corporate America. And guess what, Stephanie? There's massive support in the public for doing exactly that. So, yes, he could have done those things. A little hard to do when somebody is yelling at you all the time.
Of course. And no doubt, of course, the stock market would go up after that corporate tax break. Imagine he cut taxes in half for corporate America. President Trump also said he brought manufacturing back. He didn't. Manufacturing contracted in the last 4 years. One thing we thought we would hear more about last night, Peter, was President Trump's taxes and his personal finances. I want to share what he said about Joe Biden and Barack Obama's policies and why they're responsible for him paying so little.
will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid millions of dollars?
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. It's a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build the building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a massive, which, by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration. You can believe that.
Okay, Peter, President Trump ran that line in 2016 and said, listen, you guys set the policies. I work the system as a private businessman. But once I'm president, I'm going to close all those loopholes and I'm going to work for the American people. Can you name one of those loopholes that benefit the super rich, that benefit private jet owners? What loophole President Trump closed to serve the American people in the 3 years?
No, it's an incredibly clear point. And frankly, what the New York Times reporting shows is actually some of the measures that were passed as part of the Trump tax cut have actually benefited the Trump organization. Now, look, it's not a bad line. The tax code is a mess, and the Trump organization was able to take advantage of it. But again, the New York Times reporting showed that no rich American anywhere has been more aggressive than Donald Trump in claiming some of these losses, carrying those losses forward, and getting a $70 million refund. Again, this is an issue which clearly Trump is rattled on because I think his answer was repetitive and not particularly good. But because of his word salad and his yelling, Biden could not hit it particularly hard. But I think what we hear from our reporting out of Washington is that the campaign is very, very concerned about this topic. That, you know, your average American, despite Trump saying, I'm smart, I'm just taking advantage of the tax loopholes, you know, they look at a number and say $750, the President of the United States paid this. I am paying more of that. You know, many Americans are paying more of that in a month, never mind, you know, in the entire year. So I don't think this line of defense is going to work for Trump this time. It's effective 4 years ago when he was not part of the system. He's been president of the United States now for 4 years, and the New York Times reporting has data on when he was president.
Okay, so it's from Stephanie Rule.
John, I'm not even going to ask.
That was from MSNBC, Stephanie Rule. Check that out. It's from September 30th. September 30th, 2020. Okay. And what was the name of that clip here? We'll post a link here. I'll give you the name of that. Fact check Trump and Biden remarks on the economy last night at the debate. Okay, that's from Stephanie Rule. Stephanie Rule is the senior business correspondent for MSNBC. So she knows her stuff. She used to work, and she actually used to work for Deutsche Bank. If I remember, I think she used to work for Deutsche Bank like years ago. All right. So let's go back to the Breonna Taylor story here. We'll be here for a few more minutes. How's everybody doing? Also, if you'd like to stop of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN Show, paypal.me / the AHN Show. If you want to advertise with the African History Network, email us at customers@africanhistorynetwork.com, customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay. So we have a couple more slots left. We have a current promotion going on. We just brought on a few new advertisers. So I've been busy putting together commercials, etc. And one of our new advertisers is the Black History 101 Mobile. Okay. Well, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, I should say. Is Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim. Brilliant brother here in Detroit. For 25 years, the Black History 101 Mobile Museum has carried on the rich legacy of the Black Museum in America by showcasing original artifacts of the Black experience at colleges and universities, K-12 schools, corporations, libraries, conferences, and cultural events, making it the most traveled Black History mobile exhibit in American history. Dr. Khalid is a highly sought-after public speaker on topics of Black history, social studies, education, museum studies, hip-hop, and race relations. Dr. Khalid was named among the change makers for NBC Universal's Erase the Hate campaign and listed as one of the 100 men of distinction for Black enterprise. He recently founded the Michigan Hip Hop Archive on the campus of Western Michigan University. Okay. Please contact Dr. Khalid El Hakim directly at 313-645-4197, 313-645-4197. Also visit their website, blackhistorymobilemuseum.com, blackhistorymobilemuseum.com. The Black History 101 Mobile Museum is currently scheduling in-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. In-person and virtual exhibits nationwide. I've seen a lot of the artifacts he has, and it's fantastic. So definitely support that. Okay, go back to the Breonna the article dealing with Breonna Taylor and grand jury testimony. Okay, Breonna Taylor Grand Jury recordings paint chaotic, confusing scene. We're going to try to go to one of these clips here in just a minute. Try to get this queued up. Okay, so during the proceedings, the grand jury was played a recording.
Seven officers. Was there a formal plan between the 7 officers as they approached to serving the warrant?
I'm not aware of one.
He mentioned in there was a formal plan that he had an assignment, specific assignment for where to be positioned and located. So based on that interview, nobody has seen an actual formal plan to corroborate that statement.
No, ma'am, I haven't seen it. The only plan that I have seen, you guys have probably seen the erase board when they did the briefing for the search warrants.
He said, my girlfriend is dead inside the apartment, and immediately my mind was like, did we come?
Okay, so this is Officer Brett Hankinson, foreman of the Louis Beach Department, talking.
Did we come to something that already happened? That's what flickered in my mind with this. He killed a girlfriend prior to us doing it. That's what I kind of, in my mind at the time, thought. And he said, no, shooting you with 9 or 9 millimeter. I don't remember his exact words, but I'll refer to the body cam. But he said she was the one that died us, and that she was dead in the apartment.
Okay. Let me back that up a little bit here.
Exact words, but I'll refer to the body cam. But he said that she was the one that shot at us. And she was dead in the apartment.
All right. So during the proceedings, the grand jury was played a recording of Louisville Detective Michael Noble speaking with investigators from the police department's public integrity unit. In the recording, Noble said that he was briefed that Taylor might be home with a small child. According to Taylor's family, she would occasionally look after her sister's goddaughter. Noble said, quote, we knew who the target was. We were told at the brief who the target was, and we were told that it should not be a problem. It was supposed to be her and her kid, maybe her and the small child there, end quote. Now, Louisville Detective Michael Noble suggested that because they believed a child would be at the home, they decided to announce themselves before entering the apartment. He said, quote, it was a no-knock warrant, but we wanted to give time. This is what he testified to in the grand jury hearing. Quote, you could hear movement, but there was no answer. So John Mattingly and I decided, let's go ahead and hit it. John hit the door and I announced police several times, end quote. He said he hit the door handle on the first swing with the battering ram. On the second hit, the door partially opened, but he said it was still connected to the frame. The third hit knocked the door completely off the frame, Noble said. Quote, as soon as I hit the door, I went across the threshold and I could not see. It was pitch black, the detective said, adding that moments later he heard Mattingly scream. Quote, he just looked up and said, I've been shot. He went down and I could see blood immediately just coming out of his leg, Michael Noble said in the recording. And then I think he took a couple of more shots he was aiming at something in the door, and he took a couple of more shots inside. Okay, so Michael Noble's account that police announced themselves before entering the apartment echoes similar statements previously made by the Louisville Metro Police Department. During a news conference last week, Attorney General Daniel Cameron of Kentucky, state of Kentucky, said that a civilian witness corroborated those claims. Okay, now as we talked about in last week's show, there were about 12 witnesses. About 11 said they did not hear police announce themselves. Only one said they heard police announce themselves, but that was after they were interviewed 2 months after the first interview, because when they were interviewed the first time, a few days after the March 13th killing, they said they did not hear the police announce themselves. When they were interviewed again 2 months after that, then they said they did hear police announce themselves. So I go back and watch last week's show, because I go through and break this down, how the witness changed their story. The one witness that Attorney General Daniel Cameron is citing, okay, changed his story. Okay, so now Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, as well as multiple neighbors, have said that they did not hear police announce their presence. Louisville Police Lieutenant Sean Hoover said during an interview conducted on the night of the raid that officers knocked on Taylor's door 3 times before entering. A recording of his interview was played for the grand jury. He said, "We knocked on the door, and said police, waited, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds, knocked again, said police, waited even longer," Hoover said in the recording. So it was the third time that we were approaching. It had been like 45 seconds and not a minute. And then I said, "Let's go, let's breach it," end quote. So officers had obtained a warrant for Taylor's home as part of a narcotics investigation. The target of the probe was Taylor's ex-boyfriend, who lived at a different address. In a preview of what would be his own defense at trial, for wanton endangerment, former officer Brett Hankinson told grand jurors in face-to-face testimony that he believed there was someone in the apartment repeatedly shooting automatic rifle fire, which he assumed was an AR-15. There is no evidence to support this from either the police, ballistics, or her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. No other officers report being under that same impression. Now, former officer Brett Hankinson said this is the reason why he fired through closed blinds into the apartment, according to the recording. He said he saw muzzle flashes from inside the apartment, but there is no evidence to support that. After police forced their way into the apartment, Kenneth Walker fired a shot at the door, striking Officer Mattingly in the leg, police said. Now, attorneys for Kenneth Walker have expressed doubt that the shot fired by their client hit the officer, and some have even suggested Mattingly was struck by friendly fire. Okay, as we talked about last week, USA Today reported, they picked up the reporting from the Journal Courier there in the Louisville, Kentucky area, that the ballistics were not conclusive, that the gun that the bullet that hit Officer Mattingly was from Kenneth Walker's gun. Okay, it was not conclusive. Also, we find out that Officer Hankinson, I think it was Officer Hankinson, had been issued a 9mm handgun as well, which was the caliber of the gun that Kenneth Walker had. Let's see here. Ballistics. So USA Today, ballistics report doesn't support AG claims that Kenneth Walker shot cop. This is from USA Today, September 27, 2020. Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly was shot in the thigh. Officer Brett Hankinson had been issued a 9mm handgun in addition. Wednesday night on CNN, Steve Romanis, one of Kenneth Walker's attorneys, said he had obtained a Louisville Metro Police Department record showing that Officer Brett Hankinson had been issued a 9mm weapon as well. Now, Attorney General Daniel Cameron said Wednesday at the press conference they had Wednesday before last that the investigation of Breonna Taylor's death March 13th ruled out, quote, friendly fire, end quote, from Officer Brett Hankinson as the source of the shot that went through Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly's thigh, prompting him and Officer Miles Cosgrove to return fire, killing Breonna Taylor. But the Kentucky State Police report says that, quote, due to limited markings of comparative value, end quote, the 9mm bullet that hit and exited Officer Mattingly was neither, quote, identified nor eliminated as having been fired, end quote, from Kenneth Walker's gun. So they're saying the ballistics report is inconclusive. Yet Attorney General Daniel Cameron drew a conclusion from the report that the Kentucky State Police are saying is inconclusive. Okay, so read this full article. We talked about this last week, and for the sake of time, I don't have time to get through all this. USA Today, ballistics report does not support AG claims that Kenneth Walker shot cop. And then also September 26, 2020, news.yahoo.com, sole witness, S-O-L-E, sole witness who heard cops announce themselves in Breonna Taylor raid changed his story. All right, so go check this out. For the sake of time, you can read these articles. I don't have time just to go back through all of those. But we dealt with that last week's show. Okay. Okay, so read the rest of this. We'll post this link here. Breonna Taylor Grand Jury recordings paint chaotic, confusing scene. NBCnews.com. This is October 2nd, 2020. Okay. And we'll post this link here also. Where is... All right, how's everybody doing? We've got Ethelda, Greg, Alberto, just a few of the people watching this. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Click the follow button and click on like. And then turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Also follow us on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, I-M-H-O-T-E-P, Michael Imhotep on YouTube, I-M-H-O-T-E-P on YouTube. Okay. All right. Also, the website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures there. We have digital downloads, some presentations also. So if you'd like to stop $, the AHN show through Cash App, $, the AHN show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN show, paypal.me /the AHN show, or at our website at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate button. It helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. And you can advertise with the African History Network. Email us at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com also. Okay. All right. All right. Look, hey, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right now, let's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.